Hey everyone, Jag Taggart 93 here, back with some more maps from the Quake Sewer Map Jam Pack. We're going to be looking at 3 of them, just like last time. So we're starting it off with Blue Trash from Nolcoz. Now I saw the title Blue Trash, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to like this one, because I think Blue Trash, I think it's going to have some spawns. And it does. But what this map does at spawns is actually really clever. I really like it. This map actually starts out really, really good and really interesting. You see, the premise from what I can get from it is that there's these spawns that are being experimented with as like their specimens, and I guess they're being experimented on by the grunts and the enforcers, some kind of big bad, and you play a character named John Trash, who's kind of like a guardian of, well, the sewers. I guess it's kind of like their domain, and you're just kind of like a trash elemental dude, and you have taken offense to what these people have done to your sacred domain, the sewers, and set them up as for setting them up as a lab to experiment on these oddities of evil blue fluid or whatever, these spawns. So yeah, that's the premise. And even though Blue Trash isn't the most technically perfect of the maps, there's some issues which I'll get into. Definitely the most original. I love the premise and thought that went into it. I love the flavor. And you know what? Up until a certain point, I was really, really enjoying this map. It looks fantastic. The pacing is very nice, and I was so into it, I just had to, reach over, grab my Downward Spiral album, and start playing some good old 90s Nine Inch Nails. And that's something I do for certain Quake maps. I just feel like I have to, part of the reason why I play Quake is to feel like, it's the good old days, the 90s again. And a lot of times I'll play music from that era when I'm playing something really, really good. And this was really, really good up until things fell apart, right where we come to a really, really crappy underwater crusher trap. And it was, it's a lot of bullshit, actually, what happens here. You fall in, and it's a lot of trial and error. I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. There was no real clear hint about where to go. I thought, like with the crusher traps in the original Quake game, there might be a switch I had to hit, so I'd fall underwater, I'd be looking frantically for a switch to shoot at, and nothing, and I just kept dying again, and again, and again, and I eventually had to just throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm gonna no-clip and find out where the hell I have to go. And yeah, it's, apparently what you gotta do is you gotta somehow get over one of the crusher, panels, and I forget which one it is, but you have to get over one of them, and then there's an opening, and then you have to find that. And I have no idea what the author thought here. Like, how is the player supposed to figure this out their first couple times? You're not. So, just horrible, really. But after that, smooth sailing, love it, and the pacing felt like it was building up to something big, and it does, actually. I love how dynamic the map is. It changes completely once the facility starts exploding, and you have to get out of there, and that's awesome. Until the very, very, very end. The exit is not very clear. It's clear enough, but it's very, very easy to miss. And when you exit the facility, there's a entrance right back into the facility right next to you, and that's much more noticeable. So, basic player psychology. Once they enter a new room, they look for something that seems unfamiliar, and they're drawn to it. So I was drawn to this area, this spot, and I was just going right back into the facility, which was unnecessary. Turns out the exit is located in a much more inconspicuous space from here, so kind of silly. A little more thought paid to where the player would be looking, and player psychology would be nice here, but still, again, much credit to the author for putting in the extra flavor text here, and the gameplay for the most part was very solid. So Blue Trash, 7 out of 10, and again, my rating scale goes from 5, which is mediocre. Anything below 5 is bad. So mediocre, 6 is good, 7 is great, so this is a great map. So let's get to the next one. And the next one is Hello from the Gutter by Axebeard. And right off the bat, you see some really great visuals, but it's a big tease. You see this awesome looking castle with some great lighting and some really nice medieval textures. But as you're playing, you soon realize the meat of this map isn't at the castle, which again looks really, really cool, but no, it's in the sewers, which unfortunately are really just a bunch of catacombs filled with a bit of water. And there's also some base textures here too that I noticed here and there, some futuristic, metallic paneling and whatnot. And I thought that was a bit out of place for a medieval aqueduct setting, but whatever. As long as the gameplay holds up. And unfortunately, it kind of doesn't. It's kind of boring, and a lot of it is dark, not in a good way, more in a kind of confusing way. There is a progression to this map. There's panels or switches, but I was never really clear what exactly I was supposed to be doing. I was just kind of fumbling about in the darkness, going from terminal to terminal, flipping doohickeys until I fumbled my way right back up to the beginning. And I came to a door saying quadruple power is needed to open. And here is where I got excited. I was like, okay, now we're at the castle's door. I'm going to get a quad damage. We're going to go in the castle, and now the map is going to kick ass. This is probably going to be our big fight at the end. So I get the quad damage. The door's open. And yeah, a few knights come out, but I want to save that delicious quad juice for whatever is inside the castle. So I sprint inside the castle, and the map ends. And I'm like, God damn it. Why? Why? So, Hello from the Gutter has some really neat aesthetic touches, but not a lot else going for it. So that's why I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's good, but could have been great. Alright. And the last map I'll be looking at today is called Pinchy's Royal Flush. Well, it's Royal Flush by Pinchy. And this one is actually my favorite of the map pack, which I'm a bit surprised by. With the sewer map pack jam, I was really thought the maps that I would gravitate more towards are the ones that have more of a realistic, modern-day sewer aesthetic, and shy away from the more medieval type textures, because we've seen them before. But no, Royal Flush offers something a bit different. What we have here is a really interesting shift in design that feels pretty natural. You got some aqueducts below and a Greek-Roman temple bathhouse above ground, and I like how when you progress from the map, things start pretty brown and gray, pretty dark, but as you get closer to the top, things start appearing much more bright in color, and I thought that was really cool. I would have liked to see that maybe done a little more, but still, awesome progression in terms of aesthetics. Now, the design here is pretty vertical for the most part, and thankfully, for the most part, it avoids a lot of the cheapness that can arise when you have a vertical map. For example, like Vors in some awkward sniping positions, they're up high, they're at an angle, and of course they see you, but they're far off and you don't really see them until it's too late. Once you see them, of course there's a projectile or two coming right at you, and yeah. Or even worse, I really hate when you go up into an upper area and you come face to face with a Chandler and a whole bunch of enemies, which, okay, this actually, that does happen in this map, but it happens a bit later, and thankfully it's easy enough to anticipate, so it doesn't feel too bad. There's also some really clever traps here, some really clever puzzles. I really enjoyed the pool area, which was really clever. And the ambushes for the most part were pretty good, except for the grunt ambush, which, it was satisfying mowing down, dozens and dozens of grunts, but it just felt kind of ridiculous, though. I can't really recall having an ambush quite like this in Quake. Doom, yeah, when you get a whole bunch of zombie men thrown at you at once, but this one I thought was kind of silly, especially for the aesthetics. Why are there so many soldiers here? I don't know. And in terms of aesthetics and theme, I thought maybe it would be more fitting if we had the aqueducts and the Greek-Roman architecture below, and then have the sewer structure above, and have these grunts exploring into the mysterious temple where they're trying to make a sewer system around, or something like that. But you know what? I'm nitpicking. Overall, it's very fun, and what we got here is an excellent map with some really nice lighting, some good secrets, some great vertical design, and some really cool procedural progression in terms of enemies, pacing, and just aesthetics. Yeah, there is a weird water glitch I found near the beginning, near this grate here, but you know what? Overall, it's a very polished product. 8 out of 10. And yeah, those are my 3 maps that we're looking at today. If you haven't already picked up this map pack, definitely do it. And thank you all for watching. This is Jag Taggart 93 signing out. You have a good one.